Hello again, YouTube. This is the Truth Man. Last video of today. I'm not really gonna be on YouTube like that until they stop shadow banning me. So, I'm gonna kind of slow down the videos and see how that works out from there. Because YouTube these guys get on here bragging like it's their talent. Listen, YouTube is choosing, and some of them have already made oaths and agreements. YouTube is choosing who they're gonna recommend and who they're gonna promote, man. It's a lot of talented content creators that can't even get monetized because they just not getting the coverage. But we getting back to Isaiah 4:1 on this one. If you never read it, Isaiah 4:1 says, "In that day, 7 women will take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own food, wear our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name. Take away our disgrace." We talk about on each one of these and go back and watch them. Some of the things that lead to the disgrace that's leading to guys not wanting to talk to them, not wanting to deal with them. And people making videos about this because the truth is that a lot of guys done gave up on these women. A lot of guys done made up in their mind that they're not going to deal with any United States women, any Western women. They're going to go overseas. They're going to go somewhere where they are wanted. And a lot of guys are making that decision. Me personally, I think those women just do a better job of hiding it. And it might be a couple more unicorns in other parts of the world than it is here because of how they're raised and differences in philosophies, programming on TV, so on and so forth. But I want to talk to you from the standpoint of selecting these women. So in the NBA draft, Major League Baseball, NFL draft, the player that desires to go professional, a lot of time they have little or no control over what team selects them. It's just based on how the teams evaluate them and which team believes that they are a player that can help them win. You see how that works? Guys want to make it different with women when you select women. Think about it, man. Think about it. And it's unfair how a lot of players, they make a mistake, like far as a crime or a DV or this, that, and the other, and no team wants to give them a chance. But that's the way it works. That's why you have to, every step of the way, you have to calculate your steps and you have to do and say the right things. This one is entitled. Men have to be like CEOs over their household and their selection of women, what women they're gonna deal with. The NBA draft just took place, and Victor Wembanyama, if I'm saying his name right, was the number 1 selection in the whole entire draft by the San Antonio Spurs. Looking at what we're seeing so far, and one thing I notice about the NBA is a lot of those, almost all of the first selections in the drafts be dead on. Like, you rarely have a bust this number 1. It just doesn't happen that often. LeBron James was number 1. Kyrie Irving was number 1. Anthony Edwards from Minnesota, very good player. He was number 1. Zion Williamson was number 1. Zion has other things going on, but clearly Zion is a number 1 pick. Like, The dude can ball. And so, why should we be any different with women? See, y'all don't make them earn it. Think about it. When those guys be getting drafted, what's the first thing they said? This was my dream. I worked hard for it. So on and so forth. What do a lot of women say when they get married? I always dreamed of being married when I was a little girl. Right? Okay, now watch this. I'm going somewhere with this. So, in the NBA, if Zion Williamson, even though he was the number one pick, if he doesn't get his personal life together, and if he doesn't take his playing serious, is he going to be in the league in 10 years? Probably not. How do you guys take a different approach with women? This is why I say, don't let them give you ultimatums. That's like Zion saying, y'all better pick me or else. That'll cause him not to get picked. Right or wrong? Y'all, New Orleans better pick me or I know something. New Orleans would have been to pick somebody else. But we allow women to give us ultimatums. We allow women to just do whatever they want because they're women. A lot of guys, this is how I know a guy is weak. Anytime you have a guy that'll mess with another dude's wife, mess with another dude's girl, that be on YouTube, stepping on other guys' toes, because you got this area in your life or that area in your life together. You want to step on other guys' toes. I already know you weak. You got some white knight in you. You got some simp in you. Because we should be carrying on like CEOs. Do you ever hear about Jerry Jones and any of the other owners of the NFL teams getting in fist fights? Do you ever hear about them messing with each other's wives? Like the owners? No. If they do it, you don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Why? Because they're conducting themselves like owners. You think they be boo-hooing and crying when they have to release somebody? He loved Ezekiel Elliott, but he still released him. See how that worked? He still released him. And it wasn't personal, it was business. Tony Pollard just done emerged. And he don't have to pay Tony Pollard all the way right now. He can just keep making his money, and then when it comes, he can either release Tony Pollard or he can sign Tony Pollard. Why don't we do this with women? That's part of the reason why a lot of us end up divorced. Like, when you think about when you first met the one that you done fell out with, couldn't nobody tell you nothing, huh? She could be showing you red flags and you would just ignore it. Talking to other dudes, you'll ignore it. You don't know where she at, you'll ignore it because you like her. You making it personal. But we gotta treat everything about us and everything that we have like business. You can't let it get personal. People talking about love this, love that. How can you love somebody that the whole time they probably never loved you? They loved the dude that cheated on them. But they just knew how to play the game with you. And you fell for it. That's why you gotta be the CEO, the scout, the general manager, all in one when you're dealing with these women. I'm telling you. Otherwise, your team, your empire will go bankrupt. How? How? How does this compare? I'll tell you how it compares. When you make a selection, your selection is supposed to be something that is going to put you over the top. Not make you lose, not watch you lose, but your selection is supposed to be something that puts you over the top. This ain't what's happening. You know how I know? All I gotta do is look at the stats. 53% divorce rate first marriage, 73% divorce rate second marriage, 90% of college graduated women file for divorce from their husbands. What is all of this showing us? It's showing us a couple things. It's showing us that we making poor selections. It's showing us that a lot of these women are busts. What we call a bust in the sports world. They're not gonna last. You're gonna end up getting rid of them. Like when you think about it, Magic Johnson played his whole career with the Lakers. His whole entire career with the Los Angeles Lakers. Why? Because he was a good selection. Because he wasn't a bust. Because they didn't have any reason or any logical reason to get rid of Magic Johnson. Pause. Irvin Johnson. So he played his whole career with them. What happens in most relationships? They say the average marriage only lasts 8 years. I say the average marriage goes downhill after the first or second year. First year, be great. Second year for a lot of people probably be just as good. Third year, more fighting, more arguing. The decline in sex happens. The flirtation increases. The sneakiness. Why? Because that's not a franchise player that you got. See, if you ambitious, right? Let's just say you ambitious. Let's say your dream is always to have all these businesses and stuff. And people be like, the woman you select be like, I agree. But then down the line, you see that no, they don't. They was running game. No ambition. Sleeping in every day. Less and less, wanting to do less and less every single day. Why? Because that's a bust. That's why. And if you re-sign them, let's say in the NBA they had this thing called max contracts. If you re-sign a bust or a person that only performed for the contract, then you're going to end up losing money because you're going to end up having to trade them or release them, and it's still going to cost you a lot of money. This is why we tell y'all, no marriage license. This is why we tell y'all, don't move them in. This is why we tell y'all, be slow with that kid stuff. All these kids do, and I was blessed that my kids wasn't like this, none of them. But a lot of these kids, all they do is scream and yell and embarrass you. And then they get older, now they in and out of jail. People looking at you like you a bad parent, when a lot of it wasn't even you. Some of it might have been, but a lot of it just, it's a product of the times. Like for you, you have to literally take your kids completely away from those type of environments. It's almost like most relationships, because of how people think, like, I'm still comparing it to basketball. That's like trying to draft somebody number one that doesn't even jog, doesn't even shoot around, they just eat two double cheeseburgers every day, drinking 2-liter sodas, and you expect them to be a franchise player. That's the equivalent of what guys is doing with a lot of these women. See, when the owner makes a selection, and when he releases players and trades players, he's not doing it from a sympathy aspect. He's doing it from a business aspect. And that's how we have to look at it. Like, you can't, that's like, okay, watch this, I'm still comparing. Trying to marry somebody for sex is the equivalent of an owner that selects a player just because he likes him, or because he was partying with him and they had fun. That's the equivalent. That's what it's like. But we continue to make these mistakes. Like, if you like light-skinned women, like I like them all, but people had a preference. And you get a light-skinned woman and you just letting her get away with everything because she light-skinned. But yet, some of your other women that weren't as light-skinned as she was did less, and you still dumped them. You see how that worked? That's why you can't, when you looking for somebody, like if you want to get married, you want to have a family, you want to have kids, you can't be personal. You have to look at it as business, and hopefully it'll become personal. Comparing once again, Irvin Johnson with the Buss family. Over time, because he was a good player, because he helped his team, because he brought them a championship, because he brought them a lot of money, the love grew between them. See how that worked? Love is supposed to grow. You don't make decisions based on love. You make decisions based on what's the best business transaction, what's the best business deal. Let me give you an example. Let's say you had two women. They both concubine. Let's say they both concubine, and one of them starting to be uncooperative, argumentative, but she got a better body and she cuter than the other one, who's the unicorn, who just so into you, so on and so forth, like you, want to help you, ambitious, like she matches your ambition. Are you gonna keep both of them, or are you gonna get rid of the uncooperative? Let's say they both pretty decent with sex. Let's say the uncooperative one is better, sex-wise, but all you do is fight. What would be the logical thing to do? The logical thing to do would be to get rid of the uncooperative one and deal with the one who's earned a spot, so to speak. Earned a spot. And it's like, because of how she acts, your feelings are growing for her. Whereas the other one, like you just, as soon as you see her, you're just getting a bad vibe, so on and so forth. I would say if you practicing polygyny, get rid of that other one and replace her and keep the first one. That's what I would say. Let's say you got kids with the bad one. So what? She's not benefiting you, and you gonna end up with toxins all in your body trying to deal with it. Now let's say you have two. One more scenario before we close. You have an entitled princess who looks the part, and you have a plain Jane who acts the part. They don't get along. You practicing polygyny, what you gonna do? You gonna keep the one who acts the part, because this ain't about looks, this is about life. This is your life we talking about. So of course you gonna keep the one that acts the part, right? I sure hope so. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is The Truth Man. The channel is the No Matrix, No Simping, All Subjects channel.